Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. On a lot of Thursdays, I've taken short breaks. Coming back to the series though last week, I do something called Is He a Hall of Famer, where I take a look at a player that many may consider on the fence as to whether they think that the player belongs in their sports Hall of Fame. Take a look at how their career went. Give my final verdict as to whether I believe they should be in or not. But as always, I mostly want to hear from you guys and your opinion on whether they should be in their Sports Hall of Fame. So today has Thursday night football between the Eagles and Vikings. So I thought for the 30th edition of Is He a Hall of Famer, we could take a look at a former Eagles quarterback. And no, it is not Donovan McNabb. We're going to go a little further back. The 30th episode of Is He a Hall of Famer is quarterback Randall Cunningham, or if you're a Tecmo Super Bowl fan like I am, QB Eagles. So Randall Cunningham played collegiately at UNLV, was selected in the second round, 37th overall in the 1985 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. Cunningham would go on to play 11 seasons for the Eagles from 85 to 95 before retiring in the 1996 season, but he came back the following year, 1997, with the Vikings. He would go on to play 3 seasons for the Vikings from 1997 to 1999. In 2000, he played for the Dallas Cowboys. And 2001, the Baltimore Ravens. So altogether, 16 seasons in the NFL. Let's take a look at his career stats via his Pro Football Reference page. So as you see, 161 games in his career. 135 of them were starts. 82, 52, and 1 record. 56.6 completion percentage for his career, 29,979 passing yards, 207 passing touchdowns, 134 interceptions, and as I'll get to in a little bit, he also did a lot of work on the ground. We take a look at his season by season numbers. So just started 4 games his rookie year and did not get off to a good start. Actually was behind Jaws Ron Jaworski. Just 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions, but became a regular starter in the 1987 season. And from 1987 to 1990, he definitely proved to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. From 88 to 90, was named to the Pro Bowl each of those 3 seasons. And in 88 and 1990, he was the runner-up for the Associated Press MVP. 88 finished 3rd in Offensive Player of the Year. 1990 finished 2nd. Later in his career, 1998, he had a 3rd runner-up for MVP and also finished 2nd in Offensive Player of the Year. That year, he was his only first-team All-Pro. But as you can see, he had 5 seasons in which he won double-digit games as a starter. You look at that 56.6 completion percentage for his career. That is pretty low, but during his playing time, 60% completion percentage was seen as pretty good. So, that might not be the case today. But in his time, completion percentages were lower. Of course, the rules were more made it harder for the passing game to work. Career high of 34 touchdowns in that 1998 season. Had one other season with 30 touchdown passes. 3 other seasons with more than 20 touchdown passes. A career 81.5 rating. But that 1998 season, what a year it was for Cunningham, as the Vikings went 13-1 in his 14 starts, 15-1 on the season. Career high 106 rating, 34 passing touchdowns, 3,704 yards. As I mentioned, though, Cunningham did a lot of damage on the ground. A lot of it came prior to his ACL injury, though. As I mentioned, 1991, sustained that torn ACL. Really had one more year where he was, ran the ball a lot. But you see from especially from 1986 to 1990, did a lot of work with his feet. 1990 had 942 rushing yards, which was a career high. So you can almost say he was one of the innovators of the dual threat quarterback. Now, of course, Fran Tarkington was a dual threat quarterback as well in the 70s. He did not have the amount of rushing attempts Cunningham did, though. I believe he never had a season where he came close to triple digits in rushing attempts. Meanwhile, Cunningham had two of those. His 4,928 rushing yards, I think, are the fourth most in NFL history by a quarterback, behind Vic, Cam Newton, and Russell Wilson just passed him. I believe those are the only three. So one of the original dual threat quarterbacks just was a absolute treat to watch on the field. Although the amount he ran the ball did cause him to try to extend plays. And as you see, he was sacked the most times in the NFL, 5 times in his career, including 72 in 1986, which was a record for quite some time until Derek Carr's rookie season with the Houston Texans. If we also look due to running the ball a lot, look at his fumbles. 3 times he did lead the NFL in fumbles and actually fumbled the ball 105 times in his career, 17 fumbles in 1989. But despite that, again, a well over 500 mark in the regular season. We take a look at the playoffs. Not as successful, just a 3-6 record. Completion percentage dropped to 52.6. Rating dropped 74.3. Never made a Super Bowl, although that 1998 season, the Vikings were definitely the favorite. Up 7 in the fourth quarter. Kicker Gary Anderson had pretty much a chip shot, a 30-something yard field goal. He did not miss a field goal or an extra point the entire season, regular season, and postseason up until that point. Well, you could guess what happened. Anderson missed. The Falcons went on to tie the game, and the other Anderson, Morton Anderson, kicked a game-winning field goal in overtime. Falcons advanced to the Super Bowl. Cunningham's easily his best chance to reach the Super Bowl did not happen due to that. And unfortunately, after that 1998 season, you see his career basically fell off a cliff. Never, just 3 more seasons, 11 more starts, 17 total touchdown passes, 15 interceptions. And in that 1999 season, despite just 1 year removed from a runner-up in MVP, he was benched for Jeff George. So again, that 1998 season was really his last hurrah. If we take a look, Pro Football Reference has something called the Hall of Fame Monitor. So it's a metric designed to estimate a player's chances of making the Pro Football Hall of Fame using approximate value, Pro Bowls, All Pros, championships, and various stat milestones. If we look at Cunningham's rating, he is below every quarterback that is currently in the Hall of Fame. There is no Hall of Fame quarterback below him. Kind of surprising that Jim Kelly has the lowest rating out of all the quarterbacks that are in the Hall of Fame. But you see, actually, the other Eagle, Donovan McNabb, slightly above Randall Cunningham. Phil Simms, a 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Giants, although he was hurt for their second Super Bowl. Above him, John Hadle, Steve McNair, Jack Kemp, Darryl LaMonica, Rich Gannon. That's surprising because Gannon was a long-time reserve before, late in his career having an MVP season. But as you see, a decent amount of quarterbacks not in the Hall of Fame have a rating higher than him, although I would say Cunningham, I'd put him over McNabb, Hadle, Jack Kemp definitely. Air McNair was awesome, but I think Cunningham has a better Hall of Fame resume. Let's take a look here. This is via Slate.com. So the case for Cunningham, why he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Now, this was written all the way back in 2002, so 21-year-old article. But Cunningham's career was over at the time, so it's not like he did anything since that date to, better or worsen his chances of making the Hall of Fame. So it mentions that the NFL MVP award is given out annually by 3 different entities. Cunningham won the award in 88, 90, and 98. Only Jim Brown, Y.A. Tittle, Johnny Unitas, and Brett Favre have been honored in as many years. Now, you're probably wondering, I thought you said he was the runner-up 3 times. Yes, but as it mentions, 3 different entities. He won the Burt Bell Award 3 times. All those seasons he was runner-up for NFL MVP. He won the Burt Bell Award, which is given out to what they say is the NFL's best player. So Cunningham did win that award 3 times. When he was drafted, black quarterback, still a rarity. Doug Williams' historic Super Bowl win was still 2 years away. I did read that Cunningham was the first black quarterback to start in the Pro Bowl. Aside from that, so it does mention the 1988 Fog Bowl. If you never saw that, look that up on YouTube. Horrible weather conditions. Somehow threw for 407 yards, did throw for 3 interceptions. But mentions how he turned in a spectacular 4 years, saw him not only average more than 3,000 yards and 24 TD passing, but also lead the team in rushing, including a staggering 942 yards in 1990, the standing record for quarterbacks. That has since been passed. Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, I think Michael Vick as well. Mentions how his yards per attempt very similar to Dan Marino and John Elway. Cunningham is a better TD to interception ratio than Elway. Mentions how his stats are similar to Troy Aikman. Well, Troy Aikman has the rings. Mentions how he has a better TD to interception ratio than Warren Moon, who also didn't make a Hall of Fame. And Cunningham didn't have great teams. Those Eagles teams featured, as it mentions, Herschel Walker, Keith Jackson, Fred Barnett, Keith Byers. Of course, that Vikings team was stacked in what was Cunningham's best season. 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, Chris Carter, Randy Moss. Robert Smith was a multiple 1,000-yard rusher. Not sure if Jake Reed was on the team then. He might have been off the team by then. And of course, that Gary Anderson kick, unfortunately, caused him to miss his one chance at a Super Bowl. And one thing I forgot to mention, I don't think it really changes whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame. At UNLV, he was a punter. And in the NFL, he punted as well. He had 20 punts for an average of 44.7 yards. Look at that 1989 season. He had a 91-yard punt. In 1994, he had an 80-yard punt, which was the long for the season. So as a quarterback, 2 seasons, he had the season's longest punt. So that is incredible. Again, doesn't really influence whether or not he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I just thought that was cool. So, final verdict, do I think Randall Cunningham should be in the Hall of Fame? It's hard. I'm going to say no. You could say he definitely was a huge influence. We see the amount of dual threat quarterbacks today. As I say, Fran Tarkington was a dual threat quarterback. Cunningham just took it a step farther. You could even see how, Don Coryell, never appeared in a Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl, but he was seen as such an innovator as a coach that he made the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I think, last year. Similar to Cunningham innovating the quarterback position. I think the following season, that after that 1998 season, if he had another great season for the Vikings, I think that may have been enough to put him in. But, it just looks like a 1-year outlier after his first retirement. Because, again, the following season he was benched for Jeff George, who, for first overall pick, just didn't amount to a lot in the NFL. But let me know your thoughts. Does Randall Cunningham, a.k.a. QB Eagles, deserve a spot in Canton? One thing is for sure, he was one of the most exciting players to watch. And I wouldn't really see it as an egregious mistake if they did put him in, but let me know what you think. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.